In this video today, we're going to go over what I think are 5 of the most underrated creatures in all of Ark. For these 5, I'm not going to include things like the Berry because, frankly, I don't think they're underrated anymore. Most of the boss creatures I'm not going to have on here either, even though I think the Megatherium is super underused even still. Alright, that's enough rambling, let's get into it. Alright, the 5 in this list aren't in a specific order, there's just 5 of the most underrated creatures in my opinion in Ark right now. First up today I have the Dimetrodon, which is basically a glorified air conditioner. It just doesn't require any of the electronics or a bunch of metal that you would need in order to make an actual air conditioner in your base. To start the taming method, this guy is actually super easy because he's super slow, probably one of the slowest things in all of Ark, so you just knock it out as it slowly tries to catch up to you, and then that's about it. It's almost impossible not to outrun one of these, so just knock it out with trank arts and it's pretty much one of the easiest tames in the game. Although super slow on land, they're actually pretty quick in the water. One thing I'm willing to bet is that not a lot of you knew that even the wild ones give off the same status effect as an air conditioning would inside your base. Now you may be asking, why do I need to tame one? Well, because the higher level they are, the more insulation they give off. And the cherry on top, just look how stupid this guy's face looks. Alright, now that we're done bullying the Dimetrodon, let's move on to the next creature on this list, which is the Carno. I feel like the Carno often gets lost between the Raptor and the Rexes in the game because not many people go for this in the mid game, they usually just make the jump. But it's actually a really solid tame. It does this bleed and knockback effect with the same attack, which is super useful, while even taking out this Therizino. The Carno is basically a smaller, easier to tame Allosaurus, so it makes it super easy to use, and also in the caves, it's kind of a beast. Especially when you think of how fast you can breed these and make a ton of them into an army. Speaking of fast though, this thing is not fast. It's pretty slow compared to other big creatures, but it'll get you away from a raptor or anything smaller like that, maybe Terrorbird, maybe. I will also say it's not nearly as annoying to tame as an Allosaurus is. This thing's also not one of the prettiest things on the Arks, but if you ask me, he's built for speed, not for looks. I think Carnos catch a pretty bad rap, which I'm also guilty of because they've wrecked my day quite a few times. Especially on the island, especially when I'm a low level. That's enough about this Hellboy wannabe, so we'll move on to the next creature on this list. Next one on this list is kind of a weird one, but it's also one of the newest creatures added to Ark recently. Did you guess it? I guarantee you didn't. It's a Ceratosaurus. I know everyone here is thinking, why would I tame this? It's super annoying, but hear me out, it actually has a bunch of cool abilities. To tame this thing, you're going to need to make yourself up a hemoglobin cocktail and feed it to something big enough to take on an onslaught from it. Likely a Bronto or a Golem work pretty well. You're going to want to feed it the glorified moonshine you just made, and then you're going to want to let Ceratosaurus, well, kill you. Well, hopefully not, but most of the time I die to it. Then while it eats your moonshine-infused dinosaur, it should get drunk enough for where you can tame it as it calms down. Kind of a crazy idea if you ask me, but hey. Kind of cool. Now this is where it becomes really cool. This thing is basically a Carno on steroids where it inflicts a bleed, but while it's inflicting that bleed, it also heals itself. This makes it a crazy option to fight bosses if you have the patience to tame a few high level ones. This thing is also way faster than the Carno with its charge ability, and I mean, it's pretty funny to watch this thing run around. I mean, look at that tail. This is what I think is another super cool cave creature. You know, you just have to get past the fact that it's super annoying to tame. I would even argue that this would be a super good mid-level tame, except you have to tame Brontos or Rock Elementals just to tame it. I now realize I kind of dragged on that pretty hard for an underrated list, but trust me, it's worth it. Next up we have the Archaeopteryx, which honestly I can't believe I just said that right on the first time. Now, this is going to be the only shoulder pet on this entire list because I think it well deserves it. Now, the shoulder pet game in Ark is usually occupied by the Mesopithecus or any of the light pets from Aberration for good reason, but I think this one is super underrated, especially for its ability. This guy acts as a mobile parachute, and I mean, come on, it looks like you got a little Velociraptor on your shoulder the whole time. And if you're like me, and you randomly fall off your Pteranodons, not because you hit E, but because the game screwed you, then this thing will come in super handy. That's right, this thing is also a parachute, so never again will you fly off that Pteranodon and fall to your death because you didn't have parachutes on your hotbar. And I don't think that the parachute is affected by the stamina of the Archaeopteryx, but just let me know if it is. The best part of this for me is that it doesn't have to be in your hotbar like a normal parachute does, because I always forget to do that. This one instead automatically opens as soon as you fall or jump off of your creature. Especially for me, because I never put one in my hotbar and it gets me killed often. But hey, this is why it's my list and not yours. Now, I'm willing to bet you didn't know this next fact. So, the Archaeopteryx passively produces sap in its inventory. Some of you are saying I knew that already, but it has to be on Wander and in the Redwoods, flying tree to tree to collect that sap. Hey, a deal's a deal. Now, is it easier to put tree taps up on the Redwoods Who's to say? Well, I do, and I say no. And now that you're chirping me in the comments, why don't you hit the subscribe and like button while you're down there? Before we get to the last creature, yeah, you bet I'm doing it this way. Why don't you comment what list you want to see next, or what video idea or challenge you'd like to see next? I love reading comments and getting feedback, so I would really appreciate it. See, that only took 5 seconds. So now we'll get to the last creature on this list, which is the Gigantopithecus, which is probably my favorite creature on this list. Honestly, this creature might be one of my favorite creatures in all of Ark. It's probably my favorite mammal for sure. Well, until the Bison comes out in a couple weeks. Then who knows, maybe that'll be it, or maybe the map won't come out till next summer. This is kind of an all utility tame, and it's super easy to tame as well. This thing is by far probably the easiest tame in Ark, especially compared to the Dimetrodon and anything else on this list. All you gotta do is walk right up to it and stick some berries where the sun don't shine, and voila, there's your new friend. As long as while you're walking up you don't punch it in the head or punch it in the ass, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, first and foremost, this thing is an insane fiber gatherer. I mean, just look at this. I'm pretty sure this stomps the moss chops, but you guys will let me know, I'm sure. Now, one thing I'm sure you all know is that this thing is an absolute tank. I don't even think I have to mention this, especially because you can add a flak helmet to it. I mean, come on, is this even fair? I mean, seriously, this thing will tank pretty much anything. Speaking of that, now if you want to see me fight a boss with these giant gorillas, you'll have to let me know, and maybe that'll be one of the next videos. Something I'm betting you may not know is that this thing shreds armor just like an Arthropleura does. Those of you that don't know what that means, it means every time you get hit, it takes down your armor in duration. That could be why when you're fighting this thing, it seems like your armor just disappears like paper. So next time you break all of your armor fighting one of these things, just remember, I did warn you. One of the funniest things about this creature though, and probably one of my favorite, is that he can just huck you off his back for miles, especially if you have a parachute attached. But for some reason when I was testing this, you still couldn't use the glider suit, so I don't know if that's a glitch or if that's something new in Wildcard, but just keep that one in mind. Like honestly, if you're high enough, you could probably fly a good 5 minutes just on the back of this thing. One thing while making this video I was curious about, does the melee damage on the Gigantopithecus affect how far it can throw? If one of you knows, let me know in the comments. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, this guy can actually carry shoulder pads all by himself. Oh yeah, that's right, now we have the flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. And after the extensive list of what this thing can do, there's only one more thing left. This thing is an absolute warrior in caves. Probably the best on this list. With some pumped up melee damage and some good helmets, I think you could pretty much shred any cave on the map. These creatures aren't too big, so especially on the island, I think you could get through any cave you wanted to. Especially with a gas mask in a swamp cave, I think you could shred the bugs in there pretty easily. Well, that's pretty much all I've got for this one, so thanks for spending the last 7 to 8 minutes of your time watching this video. And just a reminder, I do have a giveaway coming up around 1,000 subs, so if you're interested in that and free copy, just hit that sub button. Why not? You're already here anyway. It also helps me to know that you like this style of video, but I'll stop yapping on now and have a great rest of your day.